Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is weekend, Sunday. So let's start today's lecture, understanding complexity of brain and neurons. So today's lecture, I'll be talking about nerve cell and behavior. So nervous system has two classes of cell. One is neuron and another is glia. So glial cells are supporting cells. So these are some of the highlights. So you have more glial cells present in the central nervous system, which is more than 10 to 50 times than the neuron in vertebrates. So glial cells are not directly involved in information processing. They act as a supporting cell, provide structure to the brain, okay, and also insulate the neuron. So you have two kinds of glial cells. One is oligodendrocyte and Schwann cells. So I will be talking about some of the properties of the glial cells. So the properties are they act as a the glial cells are scavengers. So they remove debris after injury or neuronal death, and also they helps in the uptake of neurotransmitter. Some more properties. Okay, the glial cells actually one of the glial cells called the astrocyte. They act as a blood-brain barrier that prevent toxic substances in the blood from entering to the brain. Okay, and also some of the glial cells can also regulate the properties of the presynaptic terminal. Okay, and the glial cells can also release growth factor, which is important for neuronal growth. Okay, so you have two kinds of glial cells. One is a microglia and another is a macroglia. So let us talk about the microglia. So microglia are immunocells. Okay, they are mobilized basically after injury and infection or disease. The glial cells, mainly the microglia type of glial cells, arises from the macrophages outside the nervous system and are physiologically and embryologically unrelated and to the other cell types of nervous systems. Mostly, they are activated during a number of during diseases, including some of the diseases. Example is multiple sclerosis, as well as dementia, and also some of the various chronic neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease. Now, macroglia. So we have three kinds of macroglia. One is oligodendrocytes, Schwann cells, and astrocytes. So you have two kinds of so oligodendrocytes. One type of oligodendrocytes present in the white matter, other type present in the gray matter. These are called as perineural oligodendrocytes. So here I have mentioned some of the from the points here. So in white matter, they provide myelin. Okay. In the gray matter, they these oligodendrocytes called as perineural oligodendrocytes, and they surround and support the cell bodies of the neuron. Now, Schwann cells. So basically, again, the Schwann cell type of macroglia provide myelin sheath. Again, it is sheath the neuron. Okay. So here these are the properties. Schwann cell furnish the myelin sheath that insulate the axon. Okay. And now astrocytes, so they are mostly star kind of cells. They more you have more percentage of astrocytes present in the brain than any other type of glial cells. So they basically act as a blood they act as a blood brain barrier. Okay, because because it prevents toxic substances that which is that enters from the blood to the brain. It prevents that. That's why they are considered as the they act as a blood brain barrier in the nervous system. Now let us talk about the nerve cell structure of nerve cells and how they look like. So this is the typical structure of a neuron. So you have the cell body, which you have the nucleus here. Okay, and from the cell body you have this processes arises from the cell body. These are called as dendrites, and you from the cell body another process arises, which is called as axon terminal, and this portion is called as axon hillock, where the axon potential is believed to be generated. Okay, so the axons are surrounded by the these glial cells. I have, as I mentioned earlier, so they're from the sheath, you know and the axon terminal, you have the processes that is arises from the axon terminal. These are called as these from the synapse. So these are called as presynaptic terminal. So this part is called as presynapse, and which communicate to the another cell, which is called as postsynapse. So the axon terminal forms a synapse with postsynaptic dendrite. Okay, so this is called as postsynapse. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the axon potential is generated in the axon hillock. So let us talk about what is axon potential and how these are generated. How the axon potential is generated in the neurons. So I will I will cite you an example. Suppose you are thirsty and you want to drink water. So there is a glass of water which is in the table, and so what happens is your brain sends signal to the to your hand through this nerve, and yeah, the nerve communicate with the muscle. Your muscle contract, then you drink water. So this type of signal, the type of signal that is sent from the brain to the muscle, those signals are called as action potentials. Okay. So first action potential was recorded in 1939 by Hodgkin and Huxley. Okay. And they use squid giant axon to record the action potential. So let us talk about what is action potential and how they are generated. So this is a typical curve of action potential. As we know that in the cells, you have the baseline membrane potential, which is minus 70, because you have more chloride ions inside the cells. Okay, that's why you have the baseline membrane potential minus 70. So when you give stimulus, either and the stimulus, you give the stimulus either as electrical stimulus, or the brain gives stimulus to the muscle. So that is I'm calling as stimulus. Either you give electrical stimulus, or naturally what happens is the brain gives stimulus to the hands through the neuron. Okay, so when you give stimulus in the form of this is this is in the this was performed in the lab. So when you give electrical stimulus, what happens is when the stimulus reaches the threshold minus 55, okay, then it starts depolarization. You have opening of sodium channel, then the nerve fire again. What happens is when it reach the threshold, the peak, this is called the peak of the action potential, then it starts closing of the sodium channel, and you have opening of the potassium channel, which is called as repolarization. So this is the complex set is called as action potential, or is called as EPSP, excitatory postsynaptic potentials. So after the nerve fire, then what happens is it takes around 1 millisecond rest for another firing. So this period is called as one refractory period. Okay. Then again you give another stimulus, then you will have opening of sodium channel, depolarization, and closing of sodium channel, then opening of potassium channel, repolarization, closing of potassium channel, then again. So this happens. So this is called as action potential. So I will show you how action potential is generated, what is the biochemistry of action potential. So here this is a membrane, and the negative out inside is negatively charged because you have more chloride ion, outside is positively charged because you have more sodium ion. So what happens is this is the baseline membrane potential, that's why this is minus 75. So when you give stimulus, what happens is this sodium channel opens. That's why you have this this part is shown here after entering of sodium channel, and after entering of sodium ion through sodium channel, this is represented here. Now you have it reaches the threshold, then you have opening of sodium channel, then it reach the it reaches the peak, then you have closing of sodium channel, and here see closing of sodium channel. Now potassium channel open. Now potassium channel open, and potassium channel close. So this is typical ion exchange in action potential. So first you will have opening of sodium channel, then closing of sodium channel. Now opening of potassium channel, which is called as repolarization, and closing of sodium channel. Sorry, closing of potassium channel. So now classification of neurons. So neurons are classified into three different types. Basically, four different types, I will say. Mostly, I said three different types because I am just considering this as a unipolar. But if you classify it properly, so there are four different types of neuron. One is a unipolar cell, bipolar cell, pseudo unipolar cell, and multipolar cell. So unipolar cells has you have these processes that receive the information. These are the dendrites, and this is the cell body, and this is called as the cell body present in the terminal. This is the unipolar cells. And bipolar cells, you have two distinct process. One is the receiving end, then the information will travel to the cell body, then you will have another end, which is the exon. So you have two process. One is the the dendrite receive the information, and then it travels to the cell body, then then it moves to the axon terminal. And one other type of cell is pseudo unipolar cell. So the unipolar cells mostly found in the invertebrate neuron, and bipolar cell mostly in the retina. We have the bipolar cell in the retina, and pseudo unipolar cell mostly found in the skin and muscles. So in pseudo unipolar cell, so you have the cell body here, and you have the process arises from the cell body. So the axon bifurcates into two distinct part. One part actually goes to the peripheral axon to receive the information. Other part goes to the central, mainly the spinal cord. So that's why it is called as pseudo unipolar cells. And the multipolar cells has many dendrites. So they are classified into three different categories. So this type of the typical multipolar cell which present in the spinal cord. So you have the many dendrites, then you have the cell body, then you have the axon. Now these another type of multipolar cells present in the hippocampus. Okay, so these are called pyramidal cells. Okay, pyramidal cells of hippocampus. So they look like this. You have many dendrites. The class of dendrite is apical dendrite, and you have cell body, and you have also basal dendrite. So this is a pyramidal cells of a hippocampus, is a kind of multipolar cell. And another kind of multipolar cell which has many processes found in the cerebellum, Purkinje cells of cerebellum. Okay, so which is shown here. You have cell body and many dendrites, and you have the axon terminal. The same thing I have written here, properties of the unipolar cell or bipolar cell or pseudo, unipolar cell and multipolar cells. So thank you very much for listening to my lecture. If you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. So in next weekend, I'll be talking about more about nervous system behavior and function. Thank you. Have a good day.